Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Altitude Hoops channel. Today we're going to go over what the Utah Jazz have been going through the last 3 days or so, and they certainly have been going through it. But before we get into this, please consider subscribing to this channel for consistent NBA talk, not only about the Utah Jazz, but the entire NBA as a whole. Now this all started on Wednesday when the Jazz went to Philadelphia, last game of their 4-game road trip. This game was everything you could have wanted from two number one seeds going at it. No team truly pulled away and was closely contested throughout, but there were plenty of questionable calls to go around for the refs. One play during regulation that stuck out for me was Shake Milton driving down the baseline. Dwight Howard was camped in the paint and bent over for some reason, and Shake Milton's shoulder brushed against Gobert, and I believe Gobert was called for the foul. Not the brightest moments for these refs. And then with the Jazz up 3 with 28 seconds left on the clock, Royce O'Neal appears to have saved the ball out of bounds. That would have been an easy layup for Donovan on the other side of the court. The refs huddled on the sidelines for far too long and ultimately gave the ball back to the Sixers because apparently the ball hit the official, which caused a dead ball spot. I personally did not see much contact with the ref, and even so, why can't the ref attempt to move out of the way at least? Embiid ends up hitting a 3 in Bojan's face, which brings the game to overtime. There were more questionable calls against the Jazz, which ultimately led to Donovan getting teed up and thrown out. Don and Rudy and Mike all vented their frustration after the game, none more so than Donovan, who had this to say afterwards. It's tough to go out there and see how we fight and compete, and have a game like this taken away from us. I never ever wanted to blame a ref, to blame an official, but this is getting out of hand. We just continually get screwed this way. We won this game, in my personal opinion, it's getting, well, you know what he said. Both Donovan and Rudy would be fined $25K and $20K respectively. You know, it's a drop in the bucket for these two, but I'm sure it was worth every penny. Then the next night on TNT was the star-studded NBA AllStar Draft, with the two team captains LeBron James and Kevin Durant picking who they wanted their teams for the All-Star game. It started out normal, picking players like Giannis, Kawhi, Embiid, Luka at the beginning, you know, business as usual, and then it came down to the final three. Look, I get Rudy Gobert is likely not going to be picked very high in the All-Star game. The guy is not flashy in the traditional NBA marketing sense, but he is a player that is vital for winning ball, which matters the most. LeBron had the pick with Rudy, Donovan, and Domantas Sabonis on the board. Bron even said he needed some size, and ended up picking Sabonis. An obvious slight towards Rudy, but to me the bigger issue was that players like Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Jaylen Brown, even Paul George all go before a flashy player like Donovan Mitchell, which is disrespectful in my opinion. Most of those players named haven't been a factor on any playoff team and have finally broken out, and I'm happy for him. But you can't do that to Donovan with all the things he's done in his career up to this point, but this seemed to be intentional. Charles Barkley rightfully brought up that this was Jazz slander, but LeBron tried to clear the air right after that by bringing up this gem. There's no slander for the Utah Jazz. You gotta understand, just like in the video games growing up, we never played with Utah. As great as Carl and John were, we would have never picked those guys in video games. And I mean, I kind of get that. You know, growing up in New York, I didn't even really know the Jazz existed. But this is not a video game, nor does any of this really matter at the end of the day. So I hope not too many Jazz fans are too upset about this. I think ultimately LeBron sees the Jazz at the top of the West, and this is him playing some mind games. But at the end of the day, I hope the Jazz use this as motivation. This can crystallize the Jazz if used correctly, and hopefully it ends up in a deep playoff run this season. But some good news to end on. It looks like Mike Conley will finally become an All-Star after 14 seasons. Devin Booker will not be participating in the All-Star festivities this year, and Conley will get the nod. Well deserved, and I'm happy he won't go down as the best player to not make the All-Star team. DeMar DeRozan, though, had to chime in, and he wanted to let us know that this is some bullshit. But come on, DeMar, if Conley played in the East, you know he would have had a few All-Star appearances like you had with Toronto. Let him have this moment. But anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to help grow this channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.